but you are required to offer, but then you just happen to come up with luckily in your calculation of full-time employees that you can opt to just accept the penalty minus your 30, you don't have 30. So this is not going to fit every single situation. So there are going to be some organizations that they're just going to not be subjected, even though. And here's what the staffing agencies that we're trying to get our arms around is they may have 1,800 people on their rolls, but there's only 12 of them working a 90-day temp to hire, where they may be full-time employees of the staffing agency and receiving health care, but yet everybody else is working either 3-day contract, 10-day contract. So when are they actually employees? Because once that contract is over, have they become an employee or not? Do I have to count them? Or are they part-time? So this is some of the other issues that are out there. Same thing with seasonal, and restaurants have, kind of that same issue. So this is some of the things being fleshed out. But as far as some of that information, what is your name again, sir?
Ed Sykes.
Ed has a pretty good hold. He's been following, on that temporary staffing, which will probably also cover some of that seasonal. So he's a good resource to probably speak with about what he has already understood. Yes, ma'am.
I don't remember if we touched on it or not about the multiple companies having the same owners.
Yes, we did.
In this session? Okay.
Yes. You need to touch it again? Her question was about the multiple ownership. And I did touch on that. Does anyone have any other questions about that? I mean, if I own 3 or 4 companies, and 40% interest in a third company as a owner, then it is the aggregate of all of my full-time and full-time equivalent.
Do you have the same health care to all of those employees, or can each company have separate policies and reimbursement rates?
So always keep it in mind the affordability. So depending on the range of salaries in your organization, you may have someone that salary is as low as $20,000, $18,000 or so, okay? And that range may go all the way up to $250,000 a year that you're paying. So in all actuality, you can actually, with your plan, you can have separate plans that you're offering for this level of employees. So, for example, I don't know if the county does this, but it may be employee group A, employee group B, which may mean, government service, from 1 to 3, government service from 4 to 3. And they're offering different health care to those so that it is affordable for their particular wages and salaries. But I haven't really seen, without being able to sit down and just look at, what your average salary is and what your lowest salary is, of what is called affordable or not.
But with the separate companies, do they all have to offer, if you've got 4 different group A, group B, group C with one company, do you guys have the same plan with another company?
No.
If they're all
No, as long as you offer it and it's affordable. So you may have 4 different plans. You may just offer one plan. For the businesses of 50 and below 50, they're going to have a lot of those types of options because there'll be, these metallic plans that they'll be able to choose from. So starting in 2016, if you don't have 100 employees, you'll be able to choose out of that also. So you can decide if you want to participate, contribute 40%, 60%, 80%, or 90% of the premiums, and they'll be broken down into groups. So you can offer one singular plan, or you can say all the plans in this bandwidth, or only these plans in this bandwidth is what I'm willing to contribute as an employer on the premiums. So one insurance in that area may require a contribution of you of $300, another one might be $280, another one might be $325, another one might be $350, and you may say, okay, that's within the bandwidth of which I'm willing to contribute. So my employees, you can choose any of these plans here. Since they're affordable, you know, and you'll know what the rates are. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question, kind of just going off that. My personal health care insurance that I have is tiered within the company.
Mm-hmm.
The more money I make, the more I pay. So, but the same plans are offered to the people below me. So how is anything going to affect that? Whereas, you know, the further you progress, the more money you make, are you going to still be expected to carry those below you?
Well, here we go. So we're talking about that shared responsibility. So many companies may adapt the strategy that your company currently has, because they can't offer an insurance to someone that's making $100,000 and the same premiums that are being contributed to someone that's making $15,000, but they must make it affordable to those that are making $15,000, so they're tiering it. So they may be paying more percentage for their insurance, and then as you start to grow in the organization, you start to get promoted, and you get more money, then you're contributing more towards your health care insurance. That's how they've chosen to do it.
But that's not fair to hire people.
Oh, that's not right. I'm so sorry.
He's not touching that.
No. It is not fair for me to be trying to make that determination. It's a business decision. And that's a decision that you will have to make too. I gave the example. I like her terminology, tiered. But
That's what they're called.
it has to be affordable. So keep in mind, you know, there's a wide range of disparity of your employees' wages. It's that low one that you need to really concentrate on to make sure that the insurance that you're offering now is affordable. So you don't have to tier it. You may choose that you are paying more onto that lower employees' premiums so that it stays in that affordability classification. And in the meantime, your more seasoned employees or your higher wage employees, you know, you may say, okay, well, you pay 75% for this insurance that I'm offering you, because it is affordable, but it's probably it's the same thing that's for your lower wage employee, but you're just paying a little bit more for them. And, you know, their coworkers, their bosses who get on their nerves is paying, you know, a little bit more money. So you have happy low wage workers. Yes, sir.
Is that affordability based on a 40-hour week?
It's based on wages. 9.5% of their wages / total household income.
Regardless of how long they've worked throughout the year, if they fall under this plan.
Yeah, well, okay, now so it's going to be prorated, because, I mean, when, you know, whatever their salary was for that year, even if it was for half a year, whatever they contributed, they only contributed for half a year. They didn't contribute for the whole year. So it doesn't really matter when they came in. The bottom line is, you know, it calculates over an entire year. You know, is that exceeding 9.5%? That is a lot of money. Now, that's a lot. I must emphasize, 9.5% of an employee's shared contribution over a year exceeding 9.5% is, for a single plan, is a lot of money. It really, really is. Would you agree, Donna?
Yes.
It's going to be hard to get there.
I'd like to interject just
Oh,
a
thank
minute
you, Don. I've been waiting for you.
and share something that I believe that as employers, we all feel that responsibility to maintain a courtesy of educating your employees. You'll notice he said when he was giving his demonstration that the employee who walks out into the exchange would not receive that subsidy if you are offering affordable insurance. But how many of you know employees that are going to hear the word affordable and think free? They're going to think that. And so I share with you as employers, if you do not want to have disgruntled employees who sign that waiver opting out of coverage with the idea of walking onto the exchange, Try to educate them. We are offering you affordable insurance. If that's the choice you're going to make, that will be your full cost.
And you will be responsible. Sometime late summer, we're waiting for the order to come down, that you go out and actually educate your employees about the exchange. So you will have to do that, and that'll be a great opportunity to maybe bring in Donna to be able to educate, what those options are. So there aren't any misconceptions that, I can go get something cheaper. Because what's not going to be able to happen, you're not going to be able to opt out and run on over, get into this insurance. Oops, get out of that. I'm going to come on back, because there's going to be open seasons, and they're going to end up having problems.
Is it true?
Uh-oh.
I attended a conference last week, and they touched a little bit on the ACA. Is it true that I can see an employee coming to me and saying, I'm opting out, I don't want it, and then they don't go to the exchange and purchase it. They're just not going to do it at all. When they go to file their tax return, you can probably answer this, in 2015 for the year 2014, they'll be penalized individually, right? For every family member in their household, right? That
That's
does
not
have
covered.
coverage.
Bingo.
Okay, and I think that's going to be important too, that, something we can tell our employees.
Absolutely.
Don't think that because we offer it, you don't get it, then you don't leave here and go get it somewhere else that you're free and clear. You're going to get penalized somewhere, and it's going to happen when you file your taxes. And then it goes up the next year, correct?
So, yes, it's true, to answer your question.
So that was the first time I heard that, and no one says that, and I found that very interesting.
Yes, that's the individual responsibility. I don't...
Sure, I understand you didn't go to that because we're talking more to employees.
Correct, but yes, when we start talking about your responsibility to educate...
Right, and that's why I brought that up, because I think that's important for and maybe not, that might not apply to another employer here, but from our standpoint to our employees, I can see that happening.
Sure, absolutely.
And then they coming back to us and being angry, you didn't tell me that I was...
Well, they may just place that blame on you. However,
Sure.
Here we go. Here's all opportunities for the benefit,
Sure.
agencies. They're just as happy as they can be, because the opportunity of what they have to offer and to be able to educate, it's wide open in their industry right now to be able to understand the law and how it applies to you, and to be able to advise you on the things that you need to do.
To piggyback on that, so is the IRS going to be the police for this then?
Now, who's going to be the police, I don't know. The three entities are working together. But keep in mind, the
So
IRS is a
there'll be a
fact.
new department formed.
I don't know.
I just figured
Maybe
that.
a committee of the department, I don't know. But remember, the IRS is the place that all wages are
Right,
reported
and that's
to.
what-
Okay? So you're reporting wages, you're reporting how much you contributed, because you may be trying to, you're doing your taxes and it's tax deductible. So you're reporting how much you've paid. The IRS is getting all that information, and Human Health Services is somehow going to monitor whether people are or are not covered. So they'll have to communicate with the IRS to find out, is that person working or not working. I have no idea how they're going to manage all that.
We have
and
to
I get
abide by
concerned
that,
with,
but-
for instance, if we don't do a good job educating, which I hope we can, and we have people who continue to opt out, don't care that they're getting penalized, and then they get sick, and it's their fault, they don't have health coverage, but yet we're going to pay because they're not at work. So, where does it come in? For me as an employer, I think where's their individual responsibility shows a lot about them as an employee.
So, for the scenario that she just brought up, so if the government only required you to offer health care insurance, it was going to penalize you if you did not. I can understand that position, but they're also going to penalize the individual who's not adhering to the opportunity that you already are offering.
Yeah,
I
meant pay as in having absent workers.
No, I got that, but okay. I'm saying, so again, it's kind of difficult for me to, I've had insurance, and I'm glad I have had insurance, but it's difficult for me to envision a situation where I'm required to have insurance and I'm going to have to pay a penalty. My job is offering healthcare insurance and I'm not taking it. Now, I'm sure that you have people that do that, but that percentage is, so you're not penalized if they choose not to take it. However, now they must have some sort of insurance. Where is the best place for them to decide that they're going to get that, which would be the the employer. And this is really a part of a bigger strategy, bigger idea to reduce the deficit, reduce debt, decrease medical costs, so forth. So it's a lot of moving pieces that are involved here, and everybody is sharing some sort of responsibility. So if you have an employee that's opting not to get the coverage, obviously we understand under different labor laws, you just can't say, well, you're sick all the time. I mean, they lose, they use up all of their vacation time, then they start taking leave without pay. I mean, there are some coverages also for you as an employer to be able to sever that relationship. So one you didn't lose another right of your ability to be able to get rid of an employee. However, obviously you have to be careful when we're talking about health and your dismissal of people because of health conditions. So, not my area, but any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Back to the 99%. You have a low-wage employee. You often in single-income families, the single coverage is less than 9.5%. The family is more than 9.5%, and they want a family. It doesn't matter.
No. It's affordable. It is affordable by the guidelines of your responsibility. Okay? So, because I opted to pay more to cover my family than in your offering an insurance, that's a benefit to me. That I can get this insurance at these rates, even though it's going to cost me more money. That's the price that I've had to pay for, my family and children. But they're covered. So, you look like you have a question.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, no, I was just, you said that the premiums in 2014, they will probably go down. The insurance companies are going to have to lower it.
Well, here we go. That's where the rubber's going to hit the road. Is, as they're trying to increase premiums now because they're going to have caps in 2014, eventually does that mean that they lower or they are lower because they're spending more money on your premium? Yeah. It's a lot of moving parts in there, but the idea is that the premiums are going to be lower. The insurance companies will have to be more competitive. We're really only talking about the five major insurance carriers. So we'll have to really see how this plays out. Hence, I'll be back. Just to make sure. Gentleman that's what he came up and spoke to me about was that, the insurers are saying that the premiums are going to increase anywhere from 100%, some are saying 20, 25%. Now, that's because they have some cost sharing that they have to do. The insurers have to actually now pay something like $63 per person that they insure that goes into a fund to come up with, is it $30 billion? $30 billion, which is the financial piece along with the penalties that you may pay if you don't offer, and the individual penalties that'll go in, and then some more money that the government is putting in to get this $30 billion fund to be able to fund and manage the marketplaces, to be able to cover some of the uninsured that will be uninsured. The government has given an infusion of money to every state so that they can raise and expand their Medicare, Medicaid eligibility from 100% of poverty, above poverty to 400%, which now is covering a lot of people that now are working in low-wage jobs. So they're covering a lot of stuff. How it's all going to work out when the dust all settles, we'll be here. If you see me next year and I'm beat up, you know, tomatoes, all that, you know, it didn't work out well, and everybody's blaming me. So I try to take that disclaimer early, that I am not responsible. Now, if you would like to vote for me in the next election, any other questions? Has this been helpful at all? Did you find out something that you didn't already know? Do you even care? Yes. So I thank you for coming. My contact information is there in the slides. As I said, you know, your most valuable people are going to be your health benefits folk, you know, that are here locally, but you do have my contact information. I do have some direct contacts at the several different departments. Here are the websites that you can go to. Those are also in your handout. But I do have, just to give you a little funny story. I was trying to get an answer to a question that was posed to me at a presentation. So I ended up calling up the